And now, here is Coretta McDonald, Member of Parliament and host of Advancing the Cause.
Well, good evening to you, and I'm trusting that you had a good day today. Of course, there were a couple of things that happened which would have caused some bit of damper to us, but I'm hoping that overall you had a good day. And I know that you're looking forward to advancing the cause this evening. And so here we are on Advancing the Cause again. And this evening, we're going to be sharing, this show is going to be a two-part one, where we're first going to be talking about handouts in certain squares. And after that, we're going to be sharing this screen. A couple of my MP colleagues are going to be sharing this screen with me. But first of all, let me start off with this one, which happened just this afternoon. Of course, 421 students and 25 teachers have now been displaced. This St. George's Secondary School went up in flames this afternoon. Of course, we don't know as yet what is the cause of that fire. But what we do know is that 421 students and 25 teachers are going to be displaced. Again, our students are going to be made to suffer. But I'm hoping, since today is what? I think it's the 20th of July, that the Department of Education, 68 Brigham, that they're going to start looking for some proper accommodation to house these students and their teachers. You have enough time. So start looking around for somewhere to house these students. We have had lots and lots of lapses with regards to contact hours, loss of contact hours. As a matter of fact, the Minister of Education, my friend, yes, she was trying to get teachers to work during this August vacation to make up time. Well, I've been saying this over and over. You don't make up what is lost. What is lost is already lost. What we have to do now is to do additional work and make the work a little simpler so that our children would be able to work effectively and we can offer assignments and those things. But no school during August vacation. And this is very sad. And you know what? May I remind us that every time the PPP come around, we have these kinds of incidences. And I'm hoping that we're not going to hear that maybe it's the brother of, what was the guy's name? I think Green, the same guy who had the wire and the sponge, and it was soaked with whether kerosene or kerosene oil or gasoline, whatever it was soaked with, that caused the fire at Brigham Police Station. I'm hoping that it's not a relative of his that went to St. George's Secondary School. But on a serious note, our children are going to be displaced. Lots and lots of resources have gone up in flames, and those that did not go up in flames, they were destroyed because of water. Again, parents and the teachers, I know that many of our students have been traumatized. I'm hoping that there's also a system in place to offer counseling to those students, as well as their teachers who were there in that building. So another school up in flame, and I am wondering whether, I don't know if that was a deliberate act, but we'll find out. We'll find out. And up again on our highlights for this evening, we saw Guyanese miners shot dead during a robbery close to the Venezuelan border. Guyanese miners have been shot dead during a robbery exercise close to the Venezuelan border. And we have the names of those young men. Mr. Moses, 19 years old, Mr. Solomon, 23 years old, and Mr. Vernon Eudoxie, 55 years old. all residents of Port Kaituma. That's so sad. And on that note, we want to offer our condolences to those families who are grieving at this time. But my question is, what is the government doing to safeguard and to protect and to secure our Guyanese citizens? What are we doing about it? So many cases of murders and robberies and our Guyanese, it's disgusting, it's sad. And we need to put a handle on this. And then we have the other one where we saw in a video, I'm not sure if the operator has it here, but we saw the video where the CEO of Gaisuko, he was upbraiding the sugar workers and for exercising their legal right to strike. And he was telling them all sorts of things. As a matter of fact, he was saying that they should be grateful to the PPP. They should show gratefulness to the PPP. I mean, for what? That's your job as a government, to provide for you, for the citizens of this country, and citizens don't have to be grateful to you for anything. Come on, get it right, please, Mr. CEO. Nobody don't have to stoop to you, but this is what the PPP likes. They like to have people bowing at their knees, bowing at their feet, so that they can offer handouts to them. And while we're doing that, we are here and we're seeing all these hotels and turning for hotels, new construction of hotels and so on, hotels and 5-star hotels and all kinds of hotels. While that is happening, our healthcare system sucks. Our healthcare system sucks. Just this earlier this week, we saw persons leaving this country to seek medical attention overseas. And that is because we can't offer the system, the service that is expected. I mean, I don't know what these people are doing at all. Just don't know what they're doing at all. And then we have another gunplaying incident somewhere near a popular bar in Kitty, where a young man was shot. And it is being reported that his condition is serious but stable, and he's at a private hospital in the city. Again, what is happening with the Ministry of Social Protection? What plans do you have to offer little sit-down gaffes and counseling and so on for people and to share with our citizens that violence is not the answer? When are you going to start doing something? Stop walking around and flouncing yourself around the place and you're doing this and you're doing that when our people are actually suffering. And then one of the big ones we would have had yesterday is where the CCJ slammed the Attorney General. And they're trying to find out, why is it that the elections petition is taking this long? 2 years. Why? I mean, the PPP claims that they've won the elections. Now, if you win, why is it that you don't want to have the petition being heard? Why you don't want to have the petition? What is it that you have to hide? Come on. If you don't have anything to hide, then allow the petition to go. Why is it that you have to do? Why is it that you're trying to block every possible way for the petition to be heard? And so the judge there was saying, I'm questioning the lack of urgency to deal with this elections petition. I think a little later on, our operator is going to play that for us. But in sharing our highlights, I want to also highlight to you that last Monday, it was 10 years since 3 young men lost their lives at the bridge at Wisma. 3 young men, the Linden Martyrs, 3 young men. And so that, the people of Linden will never forget that. And they will never forgive the PPPC government for what they keep doing to the people of Linden. As a matter of fact, just a couple of days ago, maybe a week or so ago, they observed the 54th, I think, death anniversary of the explosion of Son Chapman. We are not going to forget these issues. That's what the PPP do all the time. They kill our people and then they want to throw the blame on somebody else. We will not accept those things anymore. And so we had that ceremony there in recognition of the death anniversary of those 2 young men who would have lost their lives. And here is it we go. Crazy. And then we have a mother who's pleading for answers. And she's saying that it has been over a month since her 16-year-old son disappeared while working at the at an airstrip in region number 7. Maybe he saw too much. And so it's been a month since he has disappeared, and the mother is asking for answers. She wants to have answers. And come on, people, we've got to find the answers to give these people. You cannot allow our people to be disappearing like that. I mean, this here is a reflection of what happened 23 years ago prior to May 11th, 2015. This is a repeat. Like, there's a song that says, same script, different cast, but this is same script, almost same cast, and we're having the same playings going here again. We're going to demand answers, and trust me, we must find those answers. And so I want to quickly introduce our guest for this evening. This young man is no stranger to public forums like these. As a matter of fact, he's a very outspoken young man. And if we know, when you hear the name, you'll understand why I'm saying he's a very outspoken young man, because his father gave distinguished service to this country. Senior Counsel Marcel Crawford, he gave distinguished service to this country. And of course, he was a person who was fair in his dealings. He spoke out against every injustice that was done against the citizens of this country. More especially, he spoke for the rights of the people on the quarantine, Region 6 there. He spoke for their rights. And he went all across this country giving of his service and defending citizens of this country. And so we have here this evening with us one of his sons. I know you're waiting to hear whether it's Ryan, but it's not Ryan. It's Junior who we're having with us this evening. Hi, Junior. I can call you Junior because we're country people alike. Hi, Junior. Welcome to Advancing the Cause. How you do?
Good, madam. I'm okay so far.
Well, this is Advancing the Cause, where we talk, share highlights, and we discuss events that happens, and we share the truth. We're not here to nice up anything, to make anybody look good. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, we give commendation when things are right. But Junior, you would have noticed that the topic for this evening talks about handouts in selected squares. And I know that you there on the quarantine, you people are victims of this very what we're talking about here, handouts in selected squares. Could you share with us some of what, well, first of all, who Junior is and some of what is happening on the quarantine?
Well, I don't think I need to introduce myself to the Guyanese public. I've been on the block for about 3 years now. And, I'm a regular on 107 program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the handout, the behavior, we are clearly seeing a PPP government that they are being prejudiced to those who don't support their party and their rhetoric. Now, they've shown that they would not try to be an inclusive party. They will do as they choose. And part of that is because we are seeing the international folks who have installed them into government show a total disrespect to 50% plus of the population by not making the PPP be for all of Guyana. And that's a troubling trend. When you see the ambassador of the United States, which is the major player here in our growth, behaving in a discriminatory manner, one has to wonder, where is the full stop? Or who is going to stop this nonsense? You've seen her go in on all these photo ops with the current administration, but you do not see her going into the coalition support groups or areas to get a first-hand understanding of what the population is facing. And even though she is, quote unquote, so tight with the current administration, a great majority of the PPP supporters are suffering just as the coalition supporters. So one has to wonder, are these folks who are touting all these growth expectation for Guyana, are they interested in the majority or just a selective few? And if so, are they involved in some skullduggery that, you know, these behaviors going to hurt our growth? Our people are not getting benefits. They're not getting services. They're not getting goods. And that will lead to, a downward spiral in our growth, our presentation, our ability to attract international investors here. Because when people are under pressure, they're going to turn to illicit activities.
Mm-hmm.
Their behavior, the country wouldn't be a healthy place for people to come and invest. The ones who are going to be investing here are the ones who have the crookish ties. And once we are not getting proper international investors, our opportunities for growth and improvement are lost. Now, when you look at Sarah Lynch, she's always run around the place with this current administration. But we are not seeing the Americans coming here to invest, to improve our healthcare system, as you mentioned earlier in the program, our security sector. Those are two major things that must be undertaken before we try to call ourselves little Dubai of the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when the American ambassador, who is so, what am I say, who is omnipresent as if she is a minister of this government,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we are not seeing her country's investor here, but we're seeing all these Middle Eastern country, the Indians, the Chinese. You have to step back and look at it. Who is she really representing? And what is the American government doing or saying that here's their ambassador, their representation, but they are not being showcased in this country. But we are seeing all these possible terroristic connected people here in Guyana. And we are at a location where it's very important for the Western Hemisphere security. And we are not seeing the Americans here. So you have to wonder, who is she aligned to?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When you read up about her work, it is clear that she's a high-ranking CIA official, and from what has been posted out there, she has connections with upturning regime. Are we to, as Guyanese, to allow something like this to happen? And why are we not seeing the Americans putting more focus on Guyana as an English-speaking country and a very important strategic location? Now, you mentioned earlier about the security and health sector. When a country wants to attract foreign nationals, people are not going to come here if they're not safe, and two, if they don't have proper medical facilities in case of an emergency. And this is something that it's hurting us. We must have our healthcare system overhauled immediately. It wouldn't take long for it to be upgraded. We have the means to get and to import professionals to assist. Our security system, police force, their behavior, the way they treat the citizens,
Mm.
the the Ghana Defense Force, those are things that need to be looked into. They need a complete adjustment of attitude in our security service or sectors. We must be able to provide proper security to our citizens. We must be able to reduce crime in order to attract international investors. No one wants to leave and come to a place where they're not going to be safe and then pump their money. Well, yes, they're going to make a profit, but also in assisting us to grow as a nation. But we are not seeing those two sector being, helped along and improved. We are seeing the same bad attitude all the time, and folks don't even trust the police. We are seeing on a weekly basis police brutality and the total disrespect for the citizens. At the end of the day, the citizens are the ones who pays the tab, and we are not seeing the respect meted out to the common citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself weakens the morale of our communities. And I'm really, really hoping that the petition goes as most of us would expect, and we have a decision where the installed regime will be out of office, and we can go back to the upward curve that we were seeing during the 5 years of the coalition in
Yeah.
office.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. And Junior, thanks for those opening remarks. But it's so amazing. You're hearing from the PPP, the installers. We won these elections. We won the elections. We won fair and square. But yet you're putting all the blockages in place because you don't want the petition to be heard. What is it that you have to hide? If you win, you win. Whatever comes out of the bag will declare you the winner according to you. What is it that you have to hide?
Well, you and I both know that the general concession you'll have in society is a lot of hot air. We all know that the PP did not win the election. And yes, there are some who are running around with this foolishness. You know, eventually it is going to be exposed. And if they don't allow the petition to be heard and everything to be put out there in the open, unfortunately, we will see innocent people being hurt because of a few who are on a power grab and a money grab mission. And they don't care who they sacrifice as long as they remain in office. And you see, the citizens need to stop and take a look and say, wait, why are we being used as pawns against each
Mhm.
other?
Yes, yes.
90% of the population are under immense economic pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And that division is unnecessary, is outdated, is tribal. We don't need to have so much racial discrimination. You will have a little on the line. But in today's world, with the advent of electronics, internet, and all these opportunities to educate oneself, there is no need for us to be racially divided. When you look at it, it's either good or bad. And you have a minority, 1% rich, and 99% struggling. And
Mm-hmm.
once we understand that we are all in the same dilemma, we should learn to work together. And if we elect the coalition and they don't do a proper job, you kick them out. You put somebody else. If you put the PP and they don't do a proper job for us, you kick them out. But do not hold on to race bait. That is where we are falling backwards. We are not progressing as a nation because of this racial discrimination. And no one knows it better than myself. I've dealt with racism from both sides of the
Mm-hmm.
major ethnic parties. I
Uh-huh.
know this. I know what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
I have been recently as March 6, 2020, where my own relatives were hurling bottles using all the derogatory racial terms, and I'm standing there looking at them.
Wow.
And that's your own blood. So, we have been dealing with this thing all our lives. So we could understand this thing firsthand. But as a people, we need to put a stop to this because we are living like rats. Because in today's world, you see dog and cat living happily together.
Happily together.
And I don't know if Guyanese they don't want to improve their standard of living. I sometimes it amazes me when you drive down the road and you see in there dumping garbage that could have been burnt in the yard all over the place. They're making the place look like, you know, a shithole, as Trump had said before. We can't have this behavior as a nation. Everybody need to pitch in to make this country clean,
Mhm.
and appealing to international people. So we can grow and opportunities for our children will be here.
But Junior, while we're talking about the situation with regards to garbage collection and the cleanliness of this country, if we were to reflect on what transpired 23 years ago, as against what transpired between May of 2015 and August 2nd, 2020, there is a vast difference. We saw then between that 2015 to 2020 period, we saw citizens coming out to clean their drains. We saw citizens going on the road to join with other citizens to clean the gutters along the way in front of coffee and so many other places. We saw a transformation. We saw downtown Georgetown, an entire new city where people could have gone to the seawall, they could have gone on the avenues, they could have gone to so many places and breathe a sigh of relief, fresh air. Apart from what we are seeing here now, where this government, I think this is a thing with them. I think they rally around nastiness, if I can say that. They rally around it. They rally around fires because every time they come around, we have fires. And the thing is, you have a city, you have a city council in Georgetown, and you are not giving monies to the city council to conduct its business, but you prefer from the Ministry of Local Government, you prefer to pay to hire persons and to pay them, whether it's a day pay or whatever pay you're paying them. You give them job and you're using them to clean the streets of Georgetown. When you're not using them, you're using our servicemen to clean gutters and to clean streets here and to clean neighborhoods there. I mean, when that is the job of the city council, that's why we have NDCs. That's why we have councils, so that they can do what is supposed to be done. We don't want to see the foolishness with the president coming out there, one big sham on a Sunday morning. If the president wants to do that, then the president should go to all the regions in this country, every single region in this country. And you notice what is happening there? A selected few he's using there to pull up garbage. No, do what is supposed to be done. Allow the city council to do what they're supposed to do. Allow the NDCs to do what they're supposed to do. As a matter of fact, let me say, huge sums of monies were budgeted for. They were passed in the budget, but we're not seeing where those monies are spending. But I want to say this: quite a lot of our monies are going to friends and families and cronies, because we remember the issue with the t-shirts and the printing of the t-shirts, where that went to a certain business place in the mall there at $1 Million at Giftland. It went there. And if you look around again, every time there is an outreach somewhere up the Myconi Creek or some one of the villages along there, we see the speedboat that is being used, or the jet boat or whatever you call it, that is being used. One from a family. So this thing here about spending our money, using our resources, it is for a little group. While, like you said, the masses are left to suffer. But let's talk about what is happening on the quarantine directly. I have traversed the quarantine because, like I said, I am a Barbician. And I've passed Chesney, Albion, Johns, all these places. You name them, I've passed them. Wim, Letterkenny, all these places. And you're seeing proper roads there. And you know what? Those roads were done by the coalition government. The coalition government did not say at that time, these are not our supporters, so we're not going to do the streets in these villages. They did them. They assisted with what was happening with regards to the drainage system. But now here, we are seeing what is happening. And let me highlight this one quickly before you come in. What is happening right in Liverpool, where I noticed the residents. I want you to comment on that.
Look, you're from that area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are seeing that this NDC. I mean, there are many others, but this NDC, because it's 98% coalition
Mm-hmm.
NDC, you're seeing a blatant disrespect where the upgrades or improvements should have been done. They're not being done. Not only are the streets in deplorable state, but our flooding situation
Yes. Mm-hmm.
where cokers that I remember 36, 38 years ago that were there to regulate the water so we won't have a problem when it rains heavily. They they're either damaged from age or destroyed by citizens. I have mentioned about these things 6, 7 years ago. They still can be fixed. Under the coalition too, I got very upset when I expected them to get it fixed so we won't have a problem. I was told that, we got to satisfy everybody across the country. Fine. I understand that. They were spreading their arms across all the different NDCs. Now you come back and you ask this government that the situation has gone on to get worse now. Nobody cares. They're saying that they don't have the monies to do it. And you don't see an urgency to help
Mm-hmm.
this particular NDC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you drive on the back streets or even to the cross street, there are two streets besides my home that I spoke to Sam Hines about. They're still there. We have to personally give the neighbors bricks to fix the street so it won't, so cars could traverse and in there. Nobody is trying to bitumen them. Nobody wants to do it because it's not their support base. That is not the way to behave. We should move past this racial discrimination and the divide and try to make Guyana a better place for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
How,
Mm-hmm.
how do you want to win support if you don't show love and care? I don't understand it. I guess the people feels that they have a locked amount of voters ID, so they don't care to show, care and concern for
Mm-hmm.
those who do not support them. But once you are in government, you are there for everyone, not just your support base. And that is what we've been seeing with the flood relief. We've seen with the
Mm-hmm.
rice. We're seeing with the cane cutters. We're seeing with the fishing. They're selectively finding alleyways to get to their supporters, to give them financial support. These are wrong. If you want to help the citizens, why not pass a stimulus package where everybody gets a little bit to be able to, have a little reasonable life? But we are not going to see that because when you do a stimulus package, it affects everybody of adulthood, and they don't want that. So they're showing purposely that they're being vindictive in nature, and it comes right back to the international people, all these foreign dignitaries that comes in here and make these speeches from different countries. What happened to half of the population? Why aren't these issues raised? You know, like I said, the American ambassador is a showcase person. America trumps itself as being a democratic state and a human rights champion. Yet you are seeing that this is happening here, and you're not putting your personnel to go there and solve the problem. They're supposed to be the world police, the helper. Yet they're in this country and don't care what happens to half of the population. And this is where people who want a better life should start to come together. We have to stop looking for outside help and do whatever is necessary for us to be respected as citizens of this country. Look at Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka, yes.
The bubble had to burst. And, people are saying that, some people are calling for violence. No. When you oppress people to a point where they can't have proper comfort, they are going to get angry. It's not that we're seeing that our leaders are struggling, so we can understand that we're having all these monies and all these massive hotels and all these things, but yet before we run and start to build all these hotels, fix the security sector, fix the healthcare. So if something happens, and especially with the advent of this COVID that is going on from strain to strain, put things in place for the citizens, in case of any emergency. But the citizens are not seeing that no one cares about them only around election time. And once the election is over and the certain people are in office, nobody cares. And they go along with it as if, slavery is a norm for them. And the privation. You can't be in a country, be a part of the electoral system, and don't have benefits and services. I don't know why we are stuck in this slave mentality and this discriminatory mindset. I don't know. But we are seeing the caste system here at work perfectly. And the international bodies who are claiming to be champions of human rights and all this equality, we're not seeing a word of it or no help from them. England, who used to be our ruler, should have been one who is very vocal in making sure all Guyanese are respected and treated equally. But instead of that, you're seeing the crookishness.
Yes, but Junior, while you were talking there, it just dawned on me that these are the same people who talk about one Guyana. Now you can't talk about one Guyana when you have a street, the main street in Liverpool Village. You come to do it, People's Street halfway. I never heard of Half Street, and so the people had to pull out their some trailer or something to block what was doing there. Now my thing is, where was this contractor who was awarded this contract? Didn't he go there to see what was happening down there? That the people, the residents there had to come out and speak out about it and block the road? What is wrong? Or is it that we're going to do Half Street, and by the time you're ready to do the other half, the first half that you would have done has been destroyed, so it's more money for the boys?
Right. It's a money-making thing, but remember too, right? Because of the disrespect to certain NDC's representative, because of the political alliances, no one is consulting. Nothing is being done on an inclusive manner. So no one is being consulted of what should be done and what can be done and what will be done. But you see, the internet is helping the situation to expose the behavior. Now, doing half a street is a total disrespect when you have about, I think it's about
600 persons,
8 or 10 other connecting streets to that main street, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So if you're going to reach out and do things for the community, do it right and do it properly so people can benefit. But again, that's the disrespect, the level of disrespect that is shown. Nobody cares what people think, or they don't care of the citizens, because, again, the installed government is clearly showing their rude and disrespectful behavior, because the international communities who are supposed to rein their behavior in are not saying anything, because they're all the same kettle of fish. So nobody's policing them. So they'll do as they please. So now it's left for the citizens now to start to come together and demand that the government respect all Guyanese, not just some.
Well, I'm seeing our viewers there, and of course, we're happy that they're part of this show. And of course, we got some of the trolls on there, like John George, and Mahenda, whatever is his name there, who of course they like our program, and because we highlight
Correct,
we highlight the things that are
correct,
happening. And so
correct.
they, yes, go ahead.
As a representative of the people, and once you know your intentions are pure, I, just like Mark Benchop, and you and all the rest of the coalition supported representatives, should pay these fools no mind. Ignorance and racism, some people, the only cure for that is death.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our job as a representative of Guyanese is to go there and do the best for every Guyanese. So if they're going to come on your program and behave like jackasses, it means that you are getting to them and you're hitting them where it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Mm-hmm.
clearing up their skirts to behave like little girls.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and remember, we don't go on their programs
That's
because
true.
it doesn't matter to us. They're coming on our platforms and making themselves jackasses because they're hurt and they're being exposed. And that is the behavior that the common citizens who wants a better Guyana has to take up. Stop worrying about what the jackasses are saying or doing. If they come to your face, you take care of them. Because we have a life and an improvement in this country to undertake.
Mm-hmm.
You can't bother with the ignorant people or the downright racist people. Like I've said, I've dealt with them for many, many years. They could be all they want on the keyboard. If you want to be bad, come to our faces. We are speaking about oppression, and here these fools are acting like
Mm-hmm.
oppression is something that we are entitled to live through. No,
Mm-hmm.
if we are entitled for a better life every year as things go by. We're in a better position financially than we were 40 years ago. And this is the point that I wanna make. There are many grown PPP supporters who talk so much garbage about President Burnham and he was this and he was that. If a person was a dictator, why would a dictator educate everyone, give everyone an opportunity for free education, free medical? Why would a dictator, a person who's a dictator who is a no good, and even the Americans blamed him to be a dictator, give his people an opportunity to have the best education in the Caribbean at that time and
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, free healthcare? Why
Mm-hmm.
would a dictator be so inclusive for every Guyanese? So all this garbage that they are running around talking about under the PNC, this and that, these are bold, barefaced, bad-minded people.
Yes.
Because you and I our education standard at that time was second to none.
That is
Even
so true.
if to the Americans didn't have the quality of education that we received. When we
Mm-hmm.
got to high school, we had 2 years of college education already.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, these people, they will not be honest enough to give
That's
credit,
true.
proper credit,
Where it is
because
due.
of the dirty mindedness that
Mm-hmm.
some of them were being dragged up in life.
Mm-hmm.
So they could
Mm-hmm.
come in your program. Whenever you see these idiots come in your program and speaking or uttering trash, you know that you have hurt them, you've embarrassed them. Because you don't find us going on their platform when they're spreading all this foolish propaganda about
At all.
chasing all the place. You don't see us running in and disrespecting them. You on your platform say whatever you want. We don't have the time for that. We are here to make a country better than it was yesterday. But instead of them coming together for the betterment of the country, they continue to help to divide the nation and
Mm-hmm.
destroy it
So
because this caste system mentality.
yes, so this whole front about this one Guyana It's just a whole lot of empty talks.
It's
But
hot here.
behind the scenes, when we listen to some of those bottom house meetings where you have the vice president and some others, when you hear the things they're saying to their supporters, you really wonder whether they understand the words one Guyana. But you know,
Correct.
Junior, what I have to do sometimes, I have to make them popular when they come on the program. Let people recognize
I don't,
how
I don't
silly
feel
they
it
are.
because
Because the thing is, Junior, what they've forgotten, their mind are so one-sided that they've forgotten that Chedi Jagan was the leader of a union. You know, they always come to attack Coretta McDonald because I'm part of union. And so they forgot that Chedi Jagan was part of a union. They are
right.
forgetting that my good friend, the late Kamal Chan, he was a member of GAU, president of GAU. He served for many, many years, as well as serving as an MP, both when
Yep.
the PPP were in government and out of government. As we speak, I have my other colleague there who's sitting as the president now, C. Paul Narayan. He's sitting there as president of GAU and he's sitting as a government MP. But you know what? They can't talk, but Coretta McDonald is bold enough to speak, whether it's the PPP or the coalition in government. I am bold enough to speak when wrong things are wrong, and when things are right, I give commendation. And that's what they can't deal with.
Coretta, when you hear this one Guyana crap, the first thing, if you're going to tout that you want this country to be one Guyana, the first thing you have to do is have inclusionary discussion with the opposition. You cannot exclude the opposition from any decision making and then deem yourself as going to be a champion for one Guyana. That is BS. Two, when you look at the NRF fund, how it was set up under the coalition, that you had 22 members to get the money out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You break that down to 6.
Yes.
All questionable character.
All questionable.
What are you telling the nation? You don't want no scrutiny in how the money is being
None
used.
whatsoever.
And then you're telling the nation that you care about one Guyana. All you're seeing is an attempt to fleece the nation and hoodwink them, thinking that they're going to be benefiting from their own resources. The resources of this country belongs to no governmental bodies. It belongs to the citizens of the country.
Yep.
And when the citizens start to take control of their destiny, this foolishness will stop. Why is it so hard for whoever is elected to serve and lead the country to take care of all the citizens? Why is it that 90% have to be fighting and struggling? And it's going to come to a point where people are going to start to harm elected officials. You are seeing it across the world.
Just in Suriname the other day.
No, but Suriname is I mean, quiet. But I'm saying, by suppressing and depressing the people all the time, people are going to start to take matters in their own hands. You know, you look back, a sad situation in our judicial system where, with all these skullduggery in the election, our sitting Chief Justice throws out the petition. Hundreds of thousands of people's lives are being affected. You don't want the petition to be heard, so you could bridge the gap and say, hey, here are all the facts. There isn't any skullduggery on the part of the PPP, or they are skullduggery. So the nation could heal and move on together. You throw that out. These are people that are supposed to help bridge the divide, who help to guide people forward, and they're helping to destroy us morally, mentally. How can we have these people sitting in this position, and all they're doing is destroying us from loving each other? Look,
it can't happen.
When I look back, when my mother and my father got married, it was such a racial time. But they stood it out. Unfortunately, they didn't live long enough to enjoy their old age. But look at it, over 40 years of marriage. If they could do it, why the rest of Guyana cannot live in harmony?
That's it.
These are the things when you look back, is dreadful to see how ignorant some of us are. And we are running and following leaders who are dividing us. You go for a blood transfusion and you need blood, you're gonna ask if it's the black blood or Indian blood?
Or an Indian blood.
You see the foolishness. This NDC needs so much help. You're seeing the flooding and all these things. Why can't we have respect and say, you know what, let's join and do each and every NDC so our citizens can, be comfortable? And these are the type of people that you need to get out from the leadership position. All they're doing is filling their pockets and destroying the communities as we go along. But enough people, they're not able to speak out. Some just don't care anymore. Some are afraid of being victimized. Look at the street lights here. You know the danger on this turn that I live on.
Yes.
They turn off the lights. There is nothing wrong with the lights.
One Guyana again. One Guyana.
Now, how, and the people, some of them are complaining, oh man, this person is hitting us all the time. It's from your actions. That's why people have to be at you all the time. Show respect to every citizen. And I don't know how stupid can a government be. If you're in power and you take care of all the citizens, who is going to vote you out? You want to be in power? Fine. Take care of the citizens. And nobody will vote against you when come election because you're giving services and goods.
Yes.
But you're seeing that it's not about the inability to lead. It's about the wickedness and the mindset that they are going to go against somebody once they don't support the party logic. And that is what we need to stop. And this has to stop at all costs, whatever it is.
And I so agree with you.
You're suffering too as a people.
Junior, I want to go ahead. Sorry.
Look at sugar. After so much billions of dollars, the coalition pumped into the industry. Then the PPP came with 450 something million, all these fancy numbers. Now sugar has gone from $60 a pound a few months ago to $150, $200.
And the president is proud to say that.
You see the foolishness? You see the foolishness? We should, he's in there on a questionable circumstances. Sit with the opposition and work together. Regardless of the outcome of the petition, put the people above all our needs as ministers and president and all this nonsense. Work to get people to be happy and to live in harmony. Life is so short. We don't need to be at each other's throat. And if the COVID hasn't taught us anything, I don't know what else will teach us.
I don't know. But Junior, I notice our program time is coming down. And I want to thank you for being here with us on Advancing the Cause. We've got to do this program again, another show with you exclusively, because we've got so much to talk about that we couldn't talk about because we have some other guests who are waiting to come on show. But again, we have recognized that handouts are being given in selected squares. And persons, because you stand up for your rights, you are being denied what is rightfully yours. But again, let me remind the PPP government that our people will not forget them. Our people will not forgive them for what they're doing to us. All those lands in Liverpool and Manchester and Ulverston and all over the place, their Alness and so on, that are being flooded. As a matter of fact, when we had the floods and the president was there, he just stopped by for a minute or two. And when the residents tried to ask him a few questions, he said he wasn't there for that. That's the kind of disrespect that we have coming to our people.
Disrespectful. I had to hire a private mini HIMAC to dig one of the drains, pay out of my pocket, because our NDC, the HIMAC that was here to take care of the little drainage, has gone to another NDC. And the flooding in my yard has damaged my horse stables, livestock. I had to go and pay to get it clear so I
One
wouldn't have
Guyana.
so much water.
One Guyana. And you see, the
Yeah.
president didn't take time off to come to visit your end, but as soon as there was an uproar on the East Coast, he visited Monrepos. But
That's the thing.
so
They
much
don't
for One
want to
Guyana.
listen to an opposition person speaking, and because their mindset is not to help everyone, it's to help their selective support base. Eventually, they are never going to get back in office. Watch it.
Good. So, Junior, thank you so much for being here with us. And we look forward to seeing you again on Advancing the Cause. Do have a good
Thank you
night.
for having me. Good night, everyone.
You're welcome. We'll go to that break and then we'll bring our other guests in. Yes, time is going when you're having fun. Time is going. And you know, sometimes it's so disgusting when you have to talk about these issues. But coming on for the next 40 minutes on our program, we are going to have a few MPs who are going to be joining me. I know that you're aware by now that eight opposition MPs have been touted. Well, the touting is there that they've been suspended coming out of the report of the Privileges Committee. They are going to be suspended. And here again, we talk about One Guyana, but we don't practice this One Guyana. I'm not sure if the operator has that, but we had a young lady who stood in Parliament and shouted for rape and rape and rape and rape when nothing like that was happening to her, and she was not suspended. We had another young man who stood there to tell an MP that she needed a dildo, and he was not suspended. You know, he was not reprimanded, but this is how they behave. These are the people who talk about democracy. These are the people who talk about transparency. These are the people who want to tell you how to do things and how who should be doing what and who shouldn't be doing what. But when it's their time to do the right thing, they have all kinds of screenshots that they rough shadows that they want to throw on you. This young man that you're seeing here on screen, he spoke to the speaker and told the speaker, I will not sit down. You can't tell me to shut up. But he was not suspended. He was not given the kind of suspension that they want to now implement on our members. But you know, another day will come. Another day will come. Operator, could you bring the other MPs in? I know that our time is going. My friends, how are you doing? I know you were there for quite some time.
Good
And you know,
evening.
it's always saying when you're having fun, time runs from you. And so we have Honorable Nima Flo Best, we have Natasha Singh Lewis, we have Maureen Philadelphia, and we also have Honorable Annette Ferguson, who's joining us too. Good night, ladies, and it's so good to have you on Advancing the Cause. You know, this is the place where all the fire sparks happen. This is the place on this forum is where many hearts are touched, many arrows are let loose, and some people can't deal with it. But tonight we are here to talk about this suspension that is awaiting 8 of our colleagues. Of course, Natasha, you're one of them, Annette, and Maureen, all because you stood up for your rights, all because you were pushed to do what you did there, because the incompetent speaker that we have there, who was supposed to guide the House the way it was supposed to be guided, he did not allow it. As a matter of fact, the main reason for the fiasco we had in Parliament was because they wanted to rush past that natural resource fund, rush past
Mhm.
that bill. I don't know which one of you will start first, but anybody can go first.
Good evening to you, Coretta, and all the viewers. Good evening, my comrades. It's nice to be here. Um, on that suspension, I'm very upset. You know why? What happened to Anand Prasad that was sitting on the mace stand,
Mm-hmm,
taking
mm-hmm,
out pictures and calling people jackass and asses in the
mm-hmm,
middle of the parliament?
mm-hmm.
Wasn't he a part of the fiasco?
Nope, nope, nope.
He was not suspended, and this is very sad to show the injustices that this regime continue to practice. And sadly, the parliament, which has to provide protection, we're not seeing that happening with such actions.
Yes.
MP
Professor,
McDonald, good evening to
good
you
evening to you,
and to
my dear.
my two colleagues, Good evening. I think on the screen here we have Maureen, myself, Nima, and you. Maureen and I are listed for suspension. I want to before we go to the suspension issue, Miss McDonald, please permit me 1 minute to do one thing for the viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for responding to my post this afternoon to join me here with my other colleagues on advancing the cause. I want to say to you that you might have known that I was off air for a while. I had some personal issues that I had to deal with. At the end of that, I lost my husband, and I
Mm,
am in that process of getting back on my feet. So, for those of you who messaged to say what happened to building bridges, forgive me, but I am taking my time and I will come back. This is actually my first live program after all of my own issues.
Yeah.
So bear with me. I certainly will come back. I've said to Ms. McDonald in other conversations that building bridges will be back, bigger and better, of course.
Mhm.
And I am grateful for this opportunity to be here this evening. I want to speak on the issue of the suspension. I want to speak to the process because the outcome of the meetings of the Committee of Privileges would have been a report given to us a few days ago that we do not accept. Let me say that because I've received a number of messages in my inbox to say, um, are you guys going to just sit back and let this happen? All right. A number of things happen. And like Miss McDonald said, we were representing our constituencies, the people of Guyana. We were representing those um, persons in the National Assembly in December when the NRF bill was tabled. I have no apologies. I have no apologies for what has happened. Um, Subsequent to that, I received on the 4th of March, like Miss Philadelphia and the others, we received a letter from Mr. Sherlock Isaacs, the clerk of the National Assembly. And I want to say that letter is an accusation. That letter said that we are guilty of gross disorderly conduct. Well, I really don't know what that means, and I
but
don't know
MP
that, Ms.
Natasha Singh
McDonald, if
Lewis,
I would have
let
said to you that you are guilty of gross disorderly conduct, what you would have said to me, what does that mean?
MP Natasha Singh Lewis, let me ask this question for our viewers. Um, was this charge issued to you before?
No,
So it means if you were not issued with this charge, then you had no opportunity, none whatsoever, to respond to it. And this here is saying how blatant and disrespectful this installed regime is,
and
because
yet,
the course of labor has a process to deal with grievances where the accused is given a charge, and that accused is given ample time to respond and to defend the charge that has been laid before him or her. That did not happen.
absolutely, absolutely, and that is a constitutional right to every single Guyanese, a constitutional right to be heard. Now, gross disorderly conduct. The next charge is contempt. The next charge is breaches of privileges.
Mm-mm.
And for the love of me, I don't know what those things mean. And I've asked, I believe all of us, all 8 of us, we would have written um, on the 7th or days before, but I believe the last response went into the clerk who wrote us asking for further particulars because I do not know what gross disorderly conduct mean. Tell me what I did. And that is the content of my letter. For our viewers, I want you to know that from the 7th of March to today, we have not received anything from the National Assembly explaining what those charges mean. From then to now, we were denied the right to be represented. It is our constitutional right to be represented, and we were denied that right. The Privileges Committee met. Gail Teixeira, Charles Ramson, Sanjeev Dattadeen, Anil Nandalal, and I believe 2 other persons. They met and they decided that 4 of us will be sanctioned. I believe it is suspension for 4 sittings, and the other 4 will have 6 sittings suspension. I want people to know that we are not going to take this lying down. We are not going to acknowledge that that is accurate. And in that process, the APNU AFC would have filed a matter in the court this afternoon. Most of you would have seen the live. We would have filed a matter in the court. I checked that it is correct. We went to the court, we did it ourselves, and we served it. Now listen to me. It is unconstitutional. It is unparliamentary. And in my opinion, it is political discrimination. But as a Muslim woman, I will say that this is what is the biggest example of oppression of a woman. This is what is taking place. We have a president who would approve all of this happening. And McDonald, I want to say to you that the vice president is the one who is running the show of this country. I think the installed vice president believes that he is God onto Guyana. And so he does whatever he wants. But my message here this evening, I've actually come out to speak, is that nothing will stop us. Nothing will stop me from representing myself. I am competent in representing myself, and nothing will stop us.
And of course,
you have to tell me why I am denied that opportunity to defend myself, because I am entitled as a Guyanese. I'm not a dual citizen. I have no other citizenship. I'm a Guyanese 100%. And so I am entitled to the right given to me by the Constitution of Ghana. Why was I denied? McDonald, something I want to point out, and tomorrow I promise our viewers, it's going to be a fantastic day in the National Assembly. The chairman of the Privileges Committee, Mansour Nadir, and I want you to view this from a labor perspective, because in the National Assembly is where I work. I'm a parliamentarian by employment. He is the chairman of the Privileges Committee. He is submitting that report to the National Assembly tomorrow, as is stated on the order paper. Now, if I have a right to appeal, he will sit there tomorrow as the Speaker of the National Assembly. Who am I appealing to?
That's it.
Who am I appealing to? Isn't that a conflict? But that is what is happening. And there's so many things that we have highlighted in our court case. We want to see how that will go. The world will see how biased the speaker is. And he will contribute. He would be considered an oppressor to go through with matters like these.
And I'm happy that you're saying this. And I want all of our viewers and every Guyanese, every right-thinking Guyanese to understand that the PPP, whenever they come around, they are here to oppress Guyanese, regardless of whether you are their supporter or not. They're here to oppress Guyanese, and that is why they've been doing handouts. They're not teaching you to fish. They want to go catch the fish and they want to give it to you so that you'll always be there waiting at their doorsteps to collect the little handout. But we're not a handout nation. We came from a legacy, a rich legacy that Forbes Burnham paved this way for us. Coming out of colonialism, our foreparents fought bitterly with blood, sweat, and tears, even those who came as indentured servants. And we will not allow the PPP government, especially this installed regime, to override us. And so, our supporters, I want to say to you and every Guyanese, we must all come out like the people in Sri Lanka, like the people in Suriname, like the people everywhere else in those African nations, and speak out against the injustices that is being meted out to our people. Because I can tell you what, today for Natasha, tomorrow for me, the next day for somebody. You remember what was done to Varshni Jagdeo, and we sat there and we said absolutely nothing about it. And you see how much more was done to other women in this country. We saw what happened to Tabitha Haley, Sarbo Haley, in the National Assembly, just outside of the National Assembly. We saw what happened to her, and every single one of those female ministers within the government, they were absolutely silent on it. But you know what? We understand. They have to sing for their dinner. They have to dance for their supper. They have to dance for their tea and their lunches. So they can't speak, because if they speak, Javier gonna put them in his bad book one time. But we have seen over the years how these wicked and oppressive people have behaved, especially when they were in opposition. We saw their behaviors, but we will not allow them to trample over us. This is a different time. MP Philadelphia, and then we have MP Annette Ferguson there, who is a little bit challenged at this time, and so we can't see her face, but she's going to be speaking with us just now. MP Philadelphia.
Good night, MP McDonald, colleagues, and the viewership. It's nice to be back on Advancing the Cause once again. And tonight we are here as women, as strong women, and we're here to send a signal to the PPP that we will not sit idly by and allow our rights to be trampled on. We will not sit idly by and allow our rights to be violated. We were there in Parliament on the 29th of December representing the people that voted for us to cause us to be there in the first place. And with them saying to us that the 8 of us will be on suspension, it's saying to all Guyanese, those persons who would have voted for the coalition, you have no right, you have no say, you have no place, and we will not allow that. We will not allow that. And I say, when Kwame McCoy hit Tabitha Sarbo Ali, it wasn't disorderly behavior. It wasn't contempt.
Nope.
All right. And so all of them circled him and gave him the kind of cover, the kind of cover to say to him, go and continue sinning. That is what they released Kwame McCoy. Go and continue sinning. We had Nigel Dharamlal during the presentation said to a female member of parliament, you got to get a dildo. It wasn't contempt. It wasn't breach of privilege. It wasn't gross disorderly behavior. But because we represent what they feel, the opposition, they're going to trample on the right to democracy. They want to trample on the rule of law. And again, I say, we will not allow it to happen. We will stand strong, and together we will look at them in their face and say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. We are representing a people. The Constitution is clear. It gives you freedom of speech. But why is it that only one set of people can speak, and when the others speak, either they are racist, or they're in contempt and breach of and all of these nonsense. Like Natasha would have said, when we received that letter from the secretary of the privilege committee, which asked for us to respond in writing within 7 days. All 8 of us respected the will of the person, the office that would have asked for us to respond in writing. And we did. We did. And we would have asked for them to show which one of these we would have been in breach of individually, whether it's contempt, whether it's gross disorderly behavior, or whatever it's alleged. And from then to now, we have not received the common respect from our employers to say to us, this is the crime we would have committed. And because you've committed this crime, these are the penalties. In addition to that, we would have asked to be given the right to be heard, given the right to counsel, like what would have happened when Bibi Shadiq represented the then Warner Jill. Even to that, we were denied, but yet we are preaching and touting one Guyana. And I say tonight, democracy is dead. Democracy is dead in Guyana under the PPP Civic. But you know what? We are not going to sing Abide With Me, Lord. We are not going to have memoriam service, but we will say to them and we will show them that as a people, we will not allow our rights to continually be trampled upon. And that is what I want to say to those persons who would have voted for the coalition, to ensure that we represent you in Parliament, and represent we must. They tried to silence us by putting 8 of us before the privilege committee. It is saying to the Guyanese people, you have no right to be heard. I don't want to hear from you. I will not hear from you. But it won't happen. It will not happen. And if we have to do it again, we are going to do it again and again and again. We have no apologies. We were elected to represent, and that we're going to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Maureen Philadelphia. We have, very quickly, we're going to bring Honorable Ferguson on. Viewers, let me say it's always a pleasure to have you here, because you make our program what it is. And Annette, while Annette is coming in there, I want to say Annette has, apart from the 3 charges or whatever they are, the 3 accusations, Annette has 2 others against her. She got one, the denial of her motion, which has happened a second time. And Annette has also been denied her $20 million and the $275,000. Now, Annette, good evening to you, and it's always a pleasure to have you here. Talk to us.
A pleasant evening to you, Coretta. First of all, let me thank you for having me here on your program to share with my fellow colleagues, St. Louis, Flubes, and Madam Philadelphia. But I'm happy to be here, as I said, and let me also shout out a pleasant night to those listening, whether home or afar. Look, I am in full agreement with what was said by my colleagues. And I want to add and to remind Guyanese what really led to our actions on December 29th, 2021. Guyanese will recall that after we discovered oil, we were advised to have a separate account established so that the revenues from oil sales will be, credited to that account. A bill to that effect, legitimizing the account, how everything will be procedurally, how everything will be worked out to ensure the monies are deposited. That was a very good framework done by the coalition in January of 2019. When these people came into to government, albeit by installed means. They recognize that, well, look, they got to get their hands on this money. Because I know they got sticky fingers. They like to put their hands in the consolidated funds. They don't like accountability. They don't believe in transparency. It's all about corruption. And you would have heard that coming out from the Sue scandal with Mr. Sue and his bigger boss, Mr. Jack Bio. But that apart, let me go back to the bill. So they now decided that they're going to change up this bill and bring a bill that they will have full control. So don't worry with all the intricacies and all the things them in that bill. The whole thing is for either Jack Dio or what's his name, Ashley Singh, to have full control. You're not hearing from the board, the 3 or the 5-member board that they established. You're not hearing from these people. But that being said, we took up a strong position that no thieving bill will pass. No thieving bill will pass. They will not be allowed to put their hands on the Guyanese money, on the Guyanese money without full disclosure. However, we pleaded with the speaker, please, sir. This bill was never, the opposition never had an opportunity to, the government never consulted with us. They never consulted with stakeholders. So it's not only the opposition was crying for the bill to go to a special select committee, civil society, the private sector too. People came out, individuals came out, organizations came out pleading with the government, please send this bill to a special select committee so that we can have our say. But you know what? They never did that because they were in a rush, in a haste to get that bill passed. So we took a position that we're going to remove the mace and all manner of things. However, tomorrow, a report will be tabled to the National Assembly asking for us to be suspended. 8 of us, not 4. I don't know what action Natasha was involved in. I don't know what action Christopher Jones was involved in. I don't know what action Sherrod Duncan was involved in, Ganesh Mahipal, who's the other person?
Tabitha.
I think
Tabitha.
Well, not Tabitha, but apart from myself, Tabitha and Maureen and Vince Roy, I don't know what my other 4 colleagues would have done, right? We were all written to asking to give show cause. We had 7 days in which to respond. We merely responded to the clerk of the committee, please, can you provide us with the information that you have, whether by way of evidence and all kind of things, because the letter that they sent to us wasn't clear. I am being accused of damaging the mace, but yet
the same mace that is being used now, Annette?
December 29th.
Annette, the same mace that is being used?
Yes, after December 29th, the other sittings that came after December 29th, the same mace is being used. So now if you're saying to me, if I'm being accused of doing a wrong and you have the evidence that I would have damaged some property, what you will do? Not ensure that you secure that evidence. So whenever a hearing is to be called, you have the evidence to come to put before me. That was never done. We were never given an opportunity to go before the committee to represent ourselves, because the Privileges Committee is like a mini court of the National Assembly. So whenever a member misbehave unparliamentary or whatever the case may be, and it warrants him or her having to go before the Privileges Committee, is the court you got to go to. This is the court of the National Assembly. But because of them having the majority on the committee, they feel that they can do as they like, say as they like, and act as they like. Well, I join with my other colleagues by saying that we will not accept the PPP rushing things down our throat. We will not accept any bullyism from the People's Progressive Party Civic. But we know who's behind this. We know very well who is behind this, because let me hold on that. I know very well who's behind this. So tomorrow, tomorrow the report will be tendered, will be laid by the chairman, who happens to be the Speaker of the National Assembly. I guess we will be debating on it. I don't even think we would reach that far, because the opposition would have gotten an order from the courts this afternoon, and I think the order was served on the parties, I guess the clerk of the National Assembly, who will eventually pass it on to the Speaker of the National Assembly. So we have to wait to see how that plays out tomorrow.
But Annette, we have two other issues there with you that you're involved in. And we have seen on repeated occasions the motion that you have filed, sent off there to Parliament to be debated, that motion on cost, the high cost of living. And we have seen, tell our viewers what has happened there. I don't want to tell them.
Well, you see, thank you very much, Coretta. This motion was actually conceived because of what our nation is currently faced with, the high cost of living in this country. And the motion was laid in the National Assembly, was submitted rather to the clerk's office in January, to be specific, on the 14th of January 2022, 1 month before the reading of the national budget. After the reading of the national budget, I think we returned to the National Assembly. It might have been April month, if my memory serves me accurate. Yes, April the 13th. But even before April the 13th, the Speaker requested that a few amendments be made to the motion, because the motion, the last ambit resolve clause, was asking for all Guyanese above the age of 18 years be paid $200,000. That's the first motion that had a figure. So what happened after the Speaker would have approved it, it was set on the order paper to be debated on April 13th, 2022. Lo and behold, on the 12th of April 2022, mere hours before the sitting of April 13, 2022, the opposition received, I received a letter from the clerk's office saying that the motion contravenes section 25, I think, 1, can't remember fully, of the standing order, which primarily states that as an opposition, you cannot direct the government, right? How much money to pay and all manner of thing. So that particular clause was amended. The motion was resubmitted, I think, later on in the month of April. Well, since April, I think we had one sitting. I think it might have been May the 16th. May the 16th, we had a sitting. But May the 16th, yes. So after the motion was resubmitted, I received an approval letter from the clerk's office to say that, well, His Honor, who happens to be the Speaker, would have approved of the motion. Now, the motion was set to be, it's currently on the order paper, set for debate at tomorrow's sitting, which happens to be Private Members' Day. It is our day where we, the MPs, whether we got motions in the National Assembly or questions, it is our day to ask, to deliberate on issues affecting our people. This motion was approved, placed on the order paper. Now, today is the 20th day of July 2022. At 16 hours 42, 18 minutes to 5, this afternoon, I received an email from the Parliament office to say that the motion cannot proceed with. This motion ain't talk about figures, It ain't got no mention of figures. But still yet, the government probably, trying a thing to say that this motion is now in contravention of some section. They have not, in this, the letter that they sent to me, they haven't quoted which standing order this particular motion has contravened, but made mention of, I think, Article 17 of the Constitution, which has to do with, monies in the consolidated fund and all kind of thing. So any sensible government, seeing exactly what is happening to, the situation in the country where high cost of living, will try their best to hear what the opposition has to propose. Allow the motion on its merit. But you know what, colleagues, you know what, viewers, you know what, listeners, they know that they have been failures. They're not handling the economy right. They have been discriminating against Black people. I'm going to put it raw as it is. You look and see who have been receiving cash grants. Sugar workers, 250,000, sorry. Then they get 25,000 cash grant. The fisher folks, 25 or 100,000 cash grant. They had indigenous people who got monies. Then you got the recent situation on the east coast of Demerara, Monrepo, where vendors claim that they want compensation for 300,000 for Palori, cassava ball, puri, and all manner of things. And the government found those monies. They found those monies and paid those people. But look what is happening to public servants. What they give public servants, Coretta, 7% last year, taxable. What they give public servants in 2020, a one-off 25,000. You understand me? A one-off 25,000. Since then, public servants have not benefited from this government. So they know for a fact that many things will be highlighted in that motion. So I guess it's because of shame. I guess it's because of the exposing that they will get. They have decided to not to have the motion heard tomorrow. But you know what? That will not stop us. That will not stop us. At some point in time, that motion will be debated. That motion will be debated. So they can jump high, they could jump low. They could find all the things within the Constitution, all the articles in the Constitution or the standing orders to find a way not to have that motion debated. I am telling you, that motion will find its place on the floor of the National Assembly so that we who are representing the vulnerable, the public servants, we will have a say. We will fight for the people in this country. Too much wrong has been meted out to Guyanese, and Guyanese have remained silent. I like what you said, Coretta, earlier. Look what happened in Suriname. It's because of the high cost of living, the people rebelled. It is because of the corruption, the people rebelled. Look what happened in where's the other country? In Sri Lanka. The high cost of living, the people rebelled. The corruption, the people rebel. Isn't that saying something to us? We are experiencing the same thing in this country. The corruption, all the drugs were coming through in this country. Ghana has now returned to a narco state. We heard about the Sue scandal involving Mr. Sue and the big boss and the landlord, Barra Jagdio. You understand me? What else we're hearing? All the monies that they have paid out as 25,000 cash grant. We know friends, families, and favorites of the PPP benefited. Benefited. But other categories of employers in this country, of employees, other citizens are not getting anything. We are Guyanese. We are Guyanese, and Guyanese must be able, we all must be able to benefit from the patrimony of this country. The withdraw 400 million US dollars from the Natural Resources Fund, which is equivalent to 83.3 billion Guyana dollars. We are not sure how these monies are being expended. We're not hearing from the committee with Mr. Joe Singh and others, where their voices. But all we hearing, oh, this hotel come in, that hotel come in, this South turning for hotel and all kinds of things. It was Barrow Jack there who said to the Amerindian people some 3 years ago, you can't eat road.
Yes.
You can't eat road. But what are they doing now, Coretta? Before they find ways and means of addressing the whole cost of living. Boy, we were growing here. Pumpkin were growing here. Tomato is $800 a pound.
Yes.
Two lengths of border, $500. What is really happening in this country? And this government is saying absolutely nothing. Look what Barbados did to help the Bajan. Mia was able to put certain measures in place. Why not allow the motion so that we in the opposition can advance our arguments and put forward our recommendations to the government to find ways and means to help our people? They don't have no interest in ensuring that Guyanese enjoy that good life that the APNU AFC promised. It's all about friends, families, and favorites benefiting. Look what is happening in the oil and gas sector. Coretta, I'm sorry that because I'm so emotional this evening.
I know.
I'm so emotional. Too much is at stake, and Guyanese are suffering.
But you know what, Annette? Let me say to us all that Javier gonna pay that 20 million. He's gonna pay those $275,000 that has been awarded, and he will pay even more. You know, I tell people, this God don't sleep, you know, this God don't wear pajamas. And this God don't go to anybody to beg for sympathy. He's a just God. And he's going to reward every single one of them in the PPP group. From Priya right down, all of them who have kept their mouths shut when injustices are being meted out to the people of this country. Mothers upon mothers are crying for their sons up to a day like today. Just Monday, we observed the 10th death anniversary of the Linden martyrs. A couple of days before, we observed, I think it's the 54th anniversary of the explosion of Son Chapman, again in Linden. Our people will not forget the PPP. Every time they come around, and I'm happy that I have Nima and Maureen here as teachers, every time the PPP come around, schools burning down. Schools burning down. Nima, I don't know if they're going to send some of those children from St. George's by your school, but I'm giving them long notice. You have enough time to secure a place to house those 421 students and their 25 teachers. Find a proper place to house them. And I want to say to our viewers, I think the other issue with the 20 million, but I want to say to our viewers, you know why we are having all of these electrical fires? Because the PPP want to spend monies and they want to steal monies. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves is who we got playing out right now. We had them before with the land issue when a certain person was heading that ministry. Now that person is heading all over. And you know what happening here? We ain't gonna take it. Like I'm seeing one of my viewer there, Winston Prophet, again highlighting the fact about the halfway road in Liverpool Village. The people ain't gonna have it with you. We will not sit idly by and accept these things. And let me say to you, we ain't gonna have 1 day and 2 days protest. Like one of my friends said, oh, what happened to the protest at the Square of the Revolution? Don't worry, we gonna come to your house where you're living down the street, so we gonna come by you. But this is how malicious these people are. You shouldn't say anything for your right. You see, these schools are going up in flames. Electrical fire. Electrical fire. You know why? Because they're bringing incompetent people to fix a wire here and fix a wire there and to juke something there and to juke something there. And large sums of monies are being paid to them. huge
Coretta
sums of money.
McDonald.
They're also going to the head teachers with no bill of quantities, but they're asking head teachers to sign off on work done. Head teachers, let me say to you, don't bother with them clowns who saying, oh, we're not going to vote Coretta McDonald and don't pay your dues to the GTU. Tell the sugar workers stop paying the dues to GAU. Tell them. But on this note, I want to say, head teachers, be very mindful of what you sign on to. Don't sign on to skullduggery. Don't sign on to crookish basis, because at the end of the day, your signature is what will count there. But colleagues, I want to thank you for being here with us. And I want to thank the 300 plus persons who have been here with us on this forum and on all the other platforms that we have persons. We will not be silenced. We will talk. We will visit the people in Liverpool again. We will visit the people in Monrepos. We will visit the people in Buxton. We will visit the people in Melanie. We will visit the people in the Bacalus and all across this country on the Essequibo Coast. Region 1, Region 9, Region 8, we will walk the streets and we will bring this installed regime down. You don't got nothing to hide, but you don't want the petition to be heard. But I'm thankful that we have a competent St. Rose's boy as our SC, who trashing all the time, the QC boy. You better stop collecting notes. Stop collecting notes and you're going to win cases. But I'm happy that as a coalition and as a people, that we are standing up to these oppressors. They will not allow us to sit. We will not sit idly by. They're not going to put us on our faces. We will continue to stand come hell or high water. Hey, we ain't gonna allow them stealing to pass. We can stop it. This time, in a long time. Let me say that to all of us. And folks, let me take very quickly your closing remarks before we wrap the show up this evening.
I want to say a special thank you for having me on your show. And yes, we will continue to stand and fight for our people against this installed regime. Thank you so much.
Maureen?
Thank you, MP McDonald, for having me once again on your program. And I say to the citizen of this country, the coalition has never let you down. The coalition will not let you down. And I ask you to stick with us, to watch with us for one more night. Watch with us for one more night. The coalition will be back. Long time done, short time come. Long time done, short time come. Good night.
Yes. Annette?
Once again, thank you very much, Coretta, for having me on. I just want to end by saying to all Guyanese on this platform, I guess by now you have made your assessment between the two governments. What you had between 2015 to 2020, and what you now have from 2020 to 2022. I will boldly say that the People's Progressive Party Civic is no good for Guyana. We had them for 23 years, and we saw for ourselves who they're made out of. And it is just, they had a little tar off between 2015 and 2020. So they have now returned with nothing new, their same old habits. So I will join with Maureen and Nima to say that we will be back, and we will be back stronger than before to move this country forward. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless your program. Correct.
Yes, and Paul Harris, we're going to come to West Bank, Demerara. We're going to come there too. We're coming there. And I want to say to all of our viewers, facts don't hide for long. You can't hold the truth down. And we are going to be there. But before I close, I want to say to us, and for those who would have joined late, I want to say to us that the leader of the opposition has challenged the Committee of Privileges report. He has moved to the courts and he has challenged that report, because we're not going to take it like that. On that note, I want to say to all those who are watching us, whether you're here in Guyana, across this country, those of you who are watching us from the UK, from Canada, from the US, from the Caribbean, and wherever else you're watching us from. I know we have some friends in Switzerland who are tuned in always to us, and some folks from Nepal who are tuned in to us. Good night to you, and thank you for being here with us. Just note that we will hold strong, comrades. We are going to hold on, because as bona fide citizens of this country, we have a right to ask questions. We have a right to not agree to stuff that is happening. We have a right to end corruption, and no one will stop us from doing that. No one. So you see what's happening in Trinidad. You see what's happening in, not Trinidad, Sri Lanka and Suriname, and wherever else it's happening in those African countries. We too will join. And we're not going to be 1 day and 2 days. We will come out, because when a people are suppressed, or when a people feels cheated, they will stand and speak out. When a cat's back is against the wall, you know what happens, and we will speak. You know, I would have been happy if my colleague MPs who are now touted as being that are touted to be suspended, I would have been happy if they had used their feet and tripped some of them down. And then you said, yes, you get a reason for being suspended. But that did not happen. All we did was to ask that the motion not be carried through. And for that reason, you're trying to punish us. But we will not take that. Imagine the man who is sitting now as the Speaker of this Honorable House. That was one of the persons who stood there and attempted to overturn a government minister's vehicle with her inside. But that's the man, that's the kind of decency that we have. That's the man who's now sitting as the Speaker of the National Assembly. High-class wickedness. Wickedness in high places. And we will not, I repeat, we will not accept those kinds of foolishness. And the operator is going to play some of those footages for us as we go out the show. And let me say to us, remember, COVID is alive and well. Be careful. Stay safe. Be on your guard all times. Wash your hands thoroughly. Sanitize as often as possible, and wear your mask. Don't bother the nonsense that they're telling you. Wear your mask, protect yourself, and protect your families and other residents within your community. These are the people, these are the wicked people who attempted to overturn the vehicle. But now today, they put on white robes and they want to class themselves with somebody who they can't class themselves with. Viewers, thank you for being here with us. And to my good friend, Dr. Mark Devonish, I want you to know that we miss you. I miss you. I'm hoping that you're listening to the program, you're watching the program, or you're listening to the program. We want to have you return with us. Anybody who's hearing this, could you make contact with Dr. Mark Devonish and tell him we miss him on advancing the cause? We want to have him back. Do have a good night and do take care. See you again next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. for more on advancing the cause. And yes, let me say to you, I wonder if the St. George's spot, St. George's Secondary School spot, if that has been one of the spots earmarked for a hotel. I wonder. I'm just thinking out loud, you know, I'm wondering. But don't worry, the people in this country will stand up and ensure that that school is rebuilt right there. So long for now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching our program. See you right back here, same place, same time. And remember, hold the line of battle, comrades. Our victory is sure.